Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Saturday. Good to see you guys back in action here with me today. Today, we're going to take over the rest of what we started on the last episode and getting the rest of the side quests taken care of. As you can see, we're back in Helios City. Pokemon Team Comp has not really changed too much. I'm going to go through it here with you a little bit. But in order to get to where we need to go, we had to go back to Helios City to get started on the last bit of side quests for the Perfection Base. This time, uh, Perfection Base, like I said, it's basically just going to be going back in, doing it all over again, and getting through and doing all sorts of other good stuff. And then once we get done with that, we're going to go ahead and finish up with the rest of the side quest, possibly get stuck on another couple puzzles, and then potentially end up just back where we started again. So, in order to get everything going, we're going to go right back into Jade Tower here. This is the easiest and quickest way to get back out of the Perfection Base. If you see my pathing here, and then we're just going to go right on down in here, get back into where the base is. You're going to find a Pokeball down where Ryukra usually is. If I can get down the stairs here. And it'll say there's a small note inside. Gonna have one last chance. The entrance seems to be in Amphitrite City, which implies that Ryukra is back in Amphitrite City. We don't know for what reason, but my guess is probably the Crystal Caverns. So we're gonna go ahead and head back out of Perfection Tower here, back up out of Jade Tower, and then we're just gonna take a quick little flight trip over to Amphitrite City, using the Emolga taxi real quick. Um, much as I wished I could probably just walk there and make it a little easier, but we're trying to avoid as many wild encounters as we can get today, since mostly it's just no nonsense, everything like that. We do accidentally get into one here. I do apologize if my audio is not syncing up with everything properly, or if I stop speaking midway through. I am trying to test out voiceovers for the first time today, so we're going to see how that works. As you see, go ahead and pop a max repel here, just to kind of stop any random wild encounters that we end up going into here, as long as I can find them in my bag, that is. But yeah, we're going to head right back into Crystal Caverns here. Just take the normal pathing, all that sort of jazz, what have you in here. Follow everything to the letter, pretty much. You notice the traders are still here. It's the same path. Just do Tesseract first, then Tesseract again once you get behind the crystal wall. And then just follow the path all the way straight down through the strength puzzles and everything. The only main difference that we're going to see coming up here is going to be in the room right before where we fought the Timeless a couple episodes back. You're going to see that instead of water, it's actually going to be a little bit different here. So we're going to head right back down here, all the way through the strength puzzle, and you'll notice that instead of water in this cave now, there's a bunch of lava. That is because Ryukra has infiltrated the throne of the Hegemon and the mystery defense and all that sort of stuff, where we ended up chasing down to save Nora earlier. So we'll go ahead and get into the hyperspace hole here, go back through the maze, and you'll notice that all the Timeless are scattered out through the thing. So we're going to stop in here. We're going to talk to Dawn. It talks about how he's become too powerful, couldn't take him down. Noting that in the last episode, Tane ended up giving, or Tane actually ended up leaving. He gave Ryukra the Azure Flute. So we get stopped here. You're going to notice a lot of stops, strange flute melody echoes in the distance. And then we get access to fighting the Azure Flute emergency defense system, which means Ryukra is trying to put the Azure Flute into practice here, and he's just going to use it. It is going to just send out random Pokemon. Sometimes you'll get random encounters that aren't going to matter. Sometimes if you're playing normally, you'll probably get a static encounter. You're not going to worry about that too much. But if it does have a Mega Evolution, it will use it 100% of the time. Don't worry about that too much. Just make sure your teams are up to snuff here. The other thing I am going to point out is you'll notice that my team is not really leveled too much differently from the last episode, mostly because, like I said, I'm working normal 9 to 5 hours now. I don't really have time to sit down and level as fast as much as I'd like to. So we're just going to kind of go at it with the best things that I've got. But if you are going to try and attempt the side quest, I would recommend making sure that your team is at least level 100 to level 110. Then you see we run into another member of the Timeless here. The food he has power it gives him is unreal. So then we're just, like I said, going to go right back through the portals here. Just follow the pathing that you normally would take if you were heading up to the throne of the Hegemon for the first time. You don't really have to worry about, a whole lot of other random stuff. And then we run into Steven here in the Cave of Origin, hearing that flute echo through the caverns for hours. What is he playing? What can such a powerful artifact do? And come back to the Meloetta scroll here. If you missed the Meloetta scroll, go ahead and pick it up. You are going to want it at some point or another for catching Delta Meloetta, so you can get Relic Song. And then we come back through the gardens here. I don't see a whole lot of the timeless in the gardens. So I screw up here not using another max repel. I probably should have because I would have saved a little more time. But we just go back in and we use one anyways. But now that we're back here the second time, if you have the magic carpet, which you should by this point, you can use the waterfall mechanic to go up that little waterfall there. There's an item at the very top of it here. And then we come into another encounter with the Azure Flute Melody system. So you get another wild encounter here, and you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna see these all the way throughout the entire area here. As you can see, mine's a Kabuto. It's mostly just due to the fact that, again, this is a randomizer. This is not static. We are just going to kind of breeze through it here. I am going to apologize in advance for all the other cuts that I end up having to do in this video. I ended up doing everything, getting everything recorded, and then finding out that everything was corrupted and had a bunch of static recording in the background. So we're just going to kind of go through here. We're back in the Mystic Tower that we found back in Lavender Town. We fight another Azure thing. If you need to use the healing pad, you use the healing pad. It don't make no difference. Powerful Presence seems to go throughout the area. We fight a Gothitelle here, only in this case. We're going to end up fighting Bisharp and get introduced to the Mega Evolution of Bisharp this entire run. I have not seen this Pokemon Mega Evolve before, but it does look kind of scary, and I don't really like it too much. That's the one thing that I really didn't like, is I just was not prepared to fight this at all. So we just go out to Goodra. Goodra kind of gets one shot almost here, and then we just have to kind of heal up, make sure that we don't lose Goodra. I don't really like losing Goodra, especially this rate in the game. It's just because at this point, Goodra is the only thing that I have against steel types. So the Rocky Helmet kind of just finishes it off here. And then I believe I mistakenly use a full restore here when I could have easily just gone back down to the other pad. So now we come back to Citadark Isle here. We are going to run into Cynthia. There is one other thing here that we can do. In the meantime, since we missed it last time, is the Relic Song wall that's over here. We can go up through here. You just go ahead and use Relic Song on the wall. Mellow will pop out, do the little dance thing, and then we get teleported to a different section where we can end up catching Moltres. Again, randomizer, mine's not a Moltres, it's just Heatmor. We'll go ahead and deal with it. But you can fight Moltres here one time only, and you can potentially catch it if you wanted to. I just go ahead and smack Heatmor down really quick with Goodra, because Goodra has 4x effectiveness against Heatmor here. It's Poison Steel, which is really good. And then we're just going to head right back out, talk to Cynthia, using the Repel. You're going to see me use a lot of those this run, mostly just due to the fact that I don't really like wild encounters this late in the game. Unless, of course, they're flying on the Emolga Taxi, which is really good. Cynthia here says, Tor 3 me and my team. If you fight him, this might be your toughest challenge yet. Basically implying that if for some reason that she's the one that gets taken down, for those of you people that have played Pokemon Platinum and have had PTSD from that champion fight, you'll know how that feels, just having her take off and get completely destroyed. Yeah, Reset Urge here. I don't exactly know what that item does. I was going to look at it and see it, but I did come back later on and get that item, and it was down there. It wasn't really worth anything. I don't use another Repel here because there's no more wild grass that I know of. And then we get to Spear Pillar, thinking that this is where the end's going to be. So we just go right on through the portal here. I do end up going back just because I thought I didn't get the item up here, which is completely fine. If you didn't get that, go for it. But now we're in the Hall of Legends. There's lava everywhere instead of water. And then we come up to another emergency defense system encounter. We are getting close to the first cut of the episode, mostly just due to the fact that I made a very big error on my part. As you can see, we get Palkia and Dialga as the sprites for this encounter, but I did actually fight a Delta Caesar and a Skrelp, and I made the mistake of using Spirit Away on Hoopa, and then Hoopa died while it was still holding the Skrelp. As you can see here, Caesar didn't get one shot Spirit Away, and then I just get Icicle Speared, which unfortunately bugs my game out again. So just fair warning, don't use Spirit Away on Hoopa if you have it, and then potentially lose Hoopa, because if you do, it will soft lock your game and make it to where the Pokemon in question that was spirited cannot be hit. So it takes me a couple turns here to realize it, and then I just go ahead and decide to cut back to getting back to that same spot before I do anything else. I did a couple things off screen, so I just went ahead and reset right here. It'll cut out here for about 2 seconds. Then we'll come right back to the Crystal Caves here. All right, so now we're back in Crystal Cave, or the Hall of Legends here. Same thing, same place, same lava, all that sort of stuff. Right before the, excuse me, my sinuses seem to still be acting up from yesterday. I do apologize if you hear that. Um, I went ahead and just left my team the way that I had it, and then we fight the insurgent defense system again. Let me go right on through here. It's easier encounters like excuse me, I can't even speak today either. Go through the same encounter. It is going to randomize it again, but if you are unlucky enough to lose here at Palkia and Dialga, you can always come back and do it again. We got Frogadier and Flygon, which is a lot easier this time around, especially with Dragonite and Lux in the front line, because Lux can basically one-shot Frogadier here, uh, thanks to the fact that it's a nice little poison typing, and then we can just finish off Flygon as it is. I was going to attempt to catch Flygon here, but it's like, I don't really need that much else. I got to prep my team anyways for episode 22, which is probably not going to be out until the end of December. I'm not going to lie, mostly just due to the fact that I probably don't have a whole lot of time anymore just to farm out teams and everything like that, but I'm going to do my best. Mysterious Flute echoes louder, so we go ahead and heal up one more time, and then we end up having to go fight Ryukra. So we're going to burn some of these soda pops that we kept getting as random rewards. I don't know why I still have all of those. But this, I believe, is the last teleport that we get before we come back to the Throne of Hegemon, which you can see it hasn't really changed a whole lot. Still the same golden bridge, the tower is still there. And then we go in here and we end up fighting with Ryukra. And then I end up doing a whole voice over script, look who it is. I shouldn't be surprised you showed up. You have a knack for always appearing when exciting things are happening. Yeah, we typically tend to do that. I'm going for broke. This is probably the most extreme thing I've ever done. I have the Azure Flute, which is what he's been using. The key to the land where Arceus itself sleeps. I don't know how Tane stumbled across such an incredible artifact, but I'm thankful he didn't know how to use it. Could you imagine the disaster the world would be with Arceus under his control? But me, on the other hand, well, everything I've done has been in search of perfection. From the original dragon to Mewtwo to Delta species to armors. They've all fallen short. Nothing was as perfect as I needed it to be. The legends say Arceus created the universe. The strongest Pokemon of all time. I was going to leave Torren forever, but the opportunity to see Arceus outweighs anything else at this point. As I'm sure you know, the domain of a legendary Pokemon is tied to its artifact. It's how Audrey brought the World Islands to Torren. All I had to do was play the flute. I sounded terrible, no musician, but it seems to have done the trick. Finally, after many years, Arceus is awakening. I'll be unstoppable, undefeatable. The power of Arceus will be mine. You want to battle, Seth? Really? Yeah, kind of do. That's why I'm here. Kid, I don't think you get it. Do you really think that if I win, or if you win, I'll just leave? No, I refuse to be stopped. I'll crush you, and together with the strongest Pokemon of all, show the world exactly what true perfection is. And this, right here, kicks off our final fight against Ryukra. Granted, he still looks like he's got those dark little circle raccoon eyes from not sleeping too much, I guess. So we end up fighting Ryukra for one more time just to try and stop him from getting his hands on Arceus, and hopefully bringing an end to his little reign of terror. So it starts off, in my case, with a Joltik. Uh, it's pretty simple. It's basically the same fight that's coded just like your champion fight with him originally. He will use everything at his disposal to try and take care of you. Uh, just bear in mind that he does have revives, all that sort of stuff. He will use anything and everything he gets. I do get a little slower here trying to take down the Joltik. So, give it some time. Going to use a couple full restores here. We're just going to keep Scalding. Hopefully it does the trick, because Brick Break's not really doing a whole lot, so Scald ends up two-shotting him even at +3 speed. Sends into Carnivine. I'm going to end up going out to, I think, Hoopa in here, just because I want to get some levels going, or just save some of my other moves. And just, max revive. Yep, revives the Joltik. And we just one-shot Carnivine. Joltik comes right back out, and we just take care of that really quick. Nothing to really worry about here, at least not with his team. We just kind of take the risk, Spirit Away it just in case. Just one-shot it and then burn it to death with Discharge. He tries to kill me with Discharge. Didn't really do much here, so we just finish him off with another Spirit Away. I don't plan on using these moves a whole lot more, at least not in this case. Delcatty, this is where things start to get a little interesting. I decided to go into Jirachi here, because I figured, you know what, I can just start setting up and just go ahead and wipe his team with Jirachi. It's probably one of the strongest Mega Evolutions that I've used. Granted, he used Calm Mind here, so get one, get on a half, and then he starts putting me to sleep, starts singing, putting me to sleep. So I go ahead and he's like, you know what? I'll just use an awakening. Yeah, it's fine. Not going to really worry about that too much. We'll just go ahead and wake him up and then go ahead and call my next turn. And sure enough, the minute I use it, is he puts me back to sleep. So it's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna brute force it, and we're just gonna start, burning through moves. Just he's trying to double slap me. I don't know what for, but again, this fight is recommended to be level 100, 110. I am going to leave the link in the description for the post game quest to show you all how to do this if you want, and then if anything, it'll also show you the static encounters for the Azure Flute defense system. Hitmonchan, no, we just go ahead and finish him off with Jirachi because I have +2 my special attack, which is what I like him to be at, and then we're just gonna go ahead and burn right on through what he's got here. So he goes into Mega Flagon, another Mega Evolution that I really was not looking forward to, but it is super cool looking. I do like what they did with a lot of the fake Mega Evolution sprites in this game. It is really good. Cacnea, no, I'll just go ahead and Meteor Mash to death because I feel like I thought that Cacnea was part Dark type in this, so I don't know why I didn't just Psychic it and kill it. And as you can see, he's not really pleased that we went ahead and killed him. He gives us 10-7 for winning, which isn't bad. Still can't seem to take you down. No matter, my plan hasn't changed. Arceus is nearly awake. This is it. This is the moment I've waited my entire life for. And of course, we're back to square one, just like the Throne of Hegemon did with Giratina all those episodes ago. Again, apologies for my constant snibbling. I've been having a lot of sinus issues lately. And then, so this is the final, hopefully that last bit of legendaries that we have to find. I have one Master Ball left. You're mine. As you can see, it doesn't work. Why isn't it working? And then he just gets pushed to the side like the piece of trash that he is. And Arceus just comes over, stands in front of us, is just like, you know what? I'm going to take this from you. So he takes one of the crystal shards, and in this case, for my randomizer fight, it is going to be Groudon with the primal form. I don't really like primal reversion because Dragonite is the only Pokemon that I have on my team aside from Goodra that can deal with this thing. Which really kind of sucks because I can't realistically do anything with Scald or anything related anywhere close to water types because of Primal Groudon's reversion ability. But in this case, for y'all, you doing the normal playthrough or the normal run of Dark Story, you are going to be fighting Arceus with its Crystal Shard reversion, which is extremely powerful. So do not underestimate this fight, regardless of what you're doing, if it's randomizer or if it's just a regular run through. So we just go on to Meloetta here to finish him off because it's Meloetta outspeeds pretty much everything else that I've fought so far. And I'm not really too worried about it. So we take care of Groudon, and then Rukia goes off into another tangent about, us being able to scam our way into the most ridiculous victories. And it's like, dude, I've been playing this franchise for the last 15 years, so I know pretty much almost everything I need to know about this game. I mean, somehow able to be perfection. There is no such thing as perfection, if you would know. Even the Pokemon who is said to created the universe falls before you. Well, yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time I'm done with it. I'm done with you meddling kids. I'm moving to a region without you heroes. I can deal with grown-ups. They scare easily. Yeah, sure they do. But somehow children and their Pokemon always seem to be trained adults. Yeah, well, that's usually how it goes. Maybe I'll visit Kanto. Sure, that never happens there. No way any mobster ends up losing to some nerdy kid there. Yeah, about that. Someone also take over the league in my absence, I'm sure, the way things are going. Probably another kid. If I were you, I'd go check it out. I heard some champion level strength kid took from Veteran was visiting. So that in turn basically sets up that we can start doing the Pokemon League rematches now. And then he just kind of goes off and tries to offer us a job. It's like, yo, if you wanna come make some money, come work for me in Kanto. I can make it worth your while. So it's like, all right, cool. So then we just go right on back out through Hyperspace Hole, and we're basically done with almost every other side quest bit that we go into here. Now that we're done with the Throne of the Hegemon, we'll just get right back out of here. I was going to quit the episode there just because it was, the last little bit that we could do, but there is a couple other things that we are going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and escape rope and get out of Crystal Caves, and then we're going to go right back to his lab once I get on over there. Give it a few minutes because I have to walk everywhere now because I can't use an escape rope in this part of Crystal Caves. So I could have just flown here, but I decided to go heal because it's like, you know what, I might as well be prepared for whatever I have to deal with. So we'll just go ahead and heal up, get our stuff going, and then we're gonna head back to Helios City one more time. Because at this point now we're gonna, if I can get it over the thing there, geez, go right back into the perfection lab where he was, and we're gonna end up going in the same way that we started the episode with. We're not gonna use a repel here because there's no wild encounters that I know of. So back in through the gate here, you're gonna notice that there are a lot of police in here. So you can talk to the cops; they'll give you all sorts of dialogue, something about clearing out his lab. So that passageway is the passageway to Mewtwo. And then this cop's just like, yeah, we're cleaning up the base, collecting evidence. Probably should have done it while he was here. And then there's this guy doesn't seem to much here. You're coming off with most of the interesting stuff. Most of it. There's still some incriminating stuff here, all that sort of stuff. So as you can see there as well, they blocked off the other way into the perfection lab. So this is the only way in and out now in Jade Tower. And then we talked to this guy about the diaries and everything like that. If you want to sit here, we get a diary 4. We're not going to read that right now. Rare candy. But in this section right here, I am going to come back to this. But if you read all 5 of these diaries, you will find the little lab key in whichever one you end up reading last. You don't have to read them in order. You can if you want. But they will give you a key to the old perfection laboratory that he details in one of these journals. You'll see where I take that here a little later. But we just kind of read through here, talking about how he sent off some of his assistants to do with like the Kirim and all that sort of stuff to get to perfection and all that sort of stuff like that. So I think we read through 1, 2, and 3 here, maybe 5, and then I just go back in and read through 4 later. But there is going to be a little bit of a strength puzzle that we're coming up here. Not only would armor help me control the Volcarona, I can add to a list of possible ways for Pokemon to be created. So as you can no doubt guess, excuse me, I can't speak again today. You can no doubt guess that he was experimenting on Larvesta to try and get access to a perfect Pokemon, which is, I mean, almost impossible. Dawson let them into my will. So that's when he commissioned the armors with the gym leader that we ended up fighting and seeing with Zekrom. Delta Mega Evolution he had a while back, blah, blah, blah. More Mega Evolution than just a stone. Strong Bond of Trust, blah, blah. It's kind of like Ash Greninja Exposition, all that sort of stuff. So it's probably not going to happen to him. So it does in this diary detail how he gave Sylvan our starters in the original place. So where we get like Venusaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, the Delta variations, and just have them from the beginning. So we just kind of, everything tends to come full circle once we read through all of these and what have you. So now we're just going to go right on back down into the staircase here, if I can get down the stairs and go back through this way. If this is where the strength puzzle comes into play, you'll notice I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in here trying to figure out where this goes. If for some reason you mess up and make a mistake, you can use the staircase to go back up and reset the puzzle. So let's see, like I did here, I have to go right back out and back in again. It does take me a little bit to figure out how things go. So we're just going to go ahead and figure it out here. But you can, if you have your keyboard shortcuts synced to a certain way or another. I can't get that boulder up there, so we have to go right back up and out again. But if you have your keyboard shortcuts synced, you can change your player speed, what have you. There's also signs next to the doors that'll detail how many of the switches you need to hit in order for it to work. But, blue is going to take 2 switches, as you can see in here. Pink is going to take 3 switches, or 2 switches as well. The main thing is, though, is you are going to have to maneuver some of the boulders into the right spots so you can get them out. So as you can see, I turned my speed off in here. We're just going to do this the slow and steady way here. Much as I wished I could do it with the fast and inconspicuous way here. But we're getting the blue boulder up here. Go right up over into this corner, go up and around the top, and boom, put it on the plate. Once you do that, you'll get the other one, put it in the same spot next to it there. And that'll open the blue door. Get that sort of stuff on. As you can kind of see, I screwed up again, so I have to go right back out. My key presses are not exactly ideal here. Can't use that here. I don't know why I pressed Y. I tried to go for the Emolga Taxi, which doesn't really work in here. But we're going to make a lot more attempts, so I'm just going to let the video play out, and we're just going to do a little bit of exposition here. Again, apologies for that. So, as of right now, episode 21 is the first out of, I believe, 2 parts of the finale. The last thing that we have to do, aside from this, is fight the Dev Tower, which I want to do a certain way. And that is, again, going to be one of the hardest, if not the hardest fights in the entire game. Mostly just due to the fact that the Dev Tower is comprised of every single developer that made this game possible and put it into play. I do want to make a huge shout out to them. This game is fantastic. I think this is the second or third time I've played through this just in my free time, and I honestly cannot begin to even fathom how much time they had to put into this game just to make it the way that it is. In this little item piece right here, you'll get like a crystal shard, but in this case, we get a red shard. It's a crystal fragment piece. And then that statue that we have up there, I don't find this out until later, but we are going to need that for later on. Anyways, back to what I was talking about before I got off topic looking at the video here. Yeah, episode 22, I think, is going to be the final episode that we do of this game itself. And then we're going to work on trying to get our next playthrough started. So I do have another game on standby right now. Whether or not I do it is a whole different story. Like I said, holiday season is here and around the corner. Work is picking up for me, so a lot of my time is going to be spent doing a whole bunch of that on top of a couple of other games that are coming out later on this year. Destiny 2 Renegades is coming out with their DLC here on the 2nd, and then Warframe is coming out with their new expansion on the 10th, which is going to take up a little more of my time, but I am going to work on trying to make sure that I balance everything else out and getting all that stuff taken care of. And then there are, again, as you can no doubt tell, I am kind of still a little sick from, allergies and the weather and what have you up here in my neck of the woods. But I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you all are staying warm, enjoying time with your families this holiday season, because that is definitely the most important thing to do. Don't worry about me in my videos. I will make sure that I get them up when I can. We're going to try and stick to the Saturday upload schedule for right now and just try to focus on the 1 day a week. I'd love to start doing it 2 day a week if I can, but with, again, the way my health is and the way that my work schedule is, I can't exactly guarantee that I can do 2 days a week anymore. I did also start going to the gym a lot more. We are slowly but surely meeting our weight loss goals. I'm trying to be down 30 pounds before the end of the year, which is actually working out really well. I think I'm down about 20 pounds now. Just within the last month alone of working out, which has actually proved to be a lot better health alternative than I thought it was going to be. Um, yeah, at first I was scared, but at the same time, it's just like, you know what, you got to lock in and do it. Especially in this day and age, it's just it's that time of the season where everybody's just going to be eating and not doing anything, and people focus on their New Year's resolutions. But if you start them soon enough, and like earlier than that, then you should be fine. Because I started this back near the end of October. And we're coming up on a month now, I think, is when we're looking at. So from 1 month of, working out, being down almost 20-30 pounds is really good. But yeah, make sure you guys are spending time with your family. Make sure you let them know how much you enjoy their company, all that sort of jazz. And just enjoy what time you have dealing with him. I'm kind of running out of topics to say here. I'm kind of spitballing just off the top of my head what I want to talk about and everything like that. If you guys have any games you would like me to try out, though, like actual games like Hearthstone, or if you want me to try and play COD or something, what have you, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to do what I've got on hand, do what I can put my mind to without hopefully breaking my PC. I've been having a lot of issues with it lately, as you no doubt can tell. Hence why I'm doing this voiceover. I ended up doing this whole recording, getting everything done, finishing up the whole episode here because we're getting pretty close to the last and final couple of cuts that I make. But I didn't recognize this until after I got done recording and everything. I realized my whole audio track had a bunch of background static in it, and I don't know if it's going to have it in the voiceover. But if it does, I do apologize. I don't know what's going on to cause that, and I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff out of just off, off of what's in my head. I almost have the puzzle here, but I screwed up and thought that I could do it a certain way here. As you'll notice, I have the golden puzzle done. I just couldn't put my head around how to get the last button done. Excuse me. So I did eventually figure it out here almost. So you do need that statue here. And then we're just gonna go right back around. Only you don't put it where I put it the first time. I ended up cutting out a bunch of the miscellaneous footage here, so we're gonna skip to where I get to the finished puzzle solution here. So you have all three of the yellow balls back here. You can scroll back and look, make sure, but you do have to put the Manaphy statue on that pedestal to get the last door open. And I do kind of go back and show that. So now that we've finished that puzzle, I'm going to stop doing my exposition here. And we're just going to do a couple run-throughs of this next bit. If we go down that stairs here, that staircase that's to my right currently, we'll go down there in a second. It's going to look like an empty room. It kind of isn't, but that server that's in the middle, that little tower here, if you push on that button, it's going to give you one of these cardinal puzzles here. I tried using all sorts of different solutions to get this puzzle to work, but it just did not seem to work here, because as you can see, whatever thing we're pushing on here to rotate it, it's going to rotate everything else in the 4 cardinal directions around it. But this puzzle, once you finish it, will give you access to fight Mewtwo in base game. If you're fighting just normal basic dark story, this will give you Mewtwo's fight, and you can get a chance to catch him and all that sort of jazz. But as you can see, I am definitely struggling here. So I'm looking around all sorts of stuff. I found the possible puzzle solutions. You do end up getting ones for if like the bottom 2 are in the wrong spots, like the ones that I just did, or if like the bottom corners are in the wrong spots, or any of that other stuff. But you kind of want to go from the top down, just kind of focusing on what it is here. So as you can see, I tab out off screen, I go look at the wiki, try and find out the solutions for the puzzles and see all that sort of stuff. So I do all sorts of touching around on the puzzle solutions to find out which one's the one I need. So you'll see me tab out back in here every once in a while, coming back and forth to the puzzle, just try and see, and then we'll just back out of the puzzle and do it again and again and again. So I just spared you guys a little bit of that time doing that. So we're just going to cut out here, and I'll meet you guys back upstairs, because this takes me a lot longer than I thought, as much as I wished I'd be able to finish it. So we found the laboratory key after a little bit of reading all the dialogue here. Now, what you're going to want to do with this key is you're going to want to take this back to Mechi Town. You do have to read all 5 of the books. The last little bit of dialogue you'll get is going to give you the key. It can be any one of the books that you finish. So, but you take this key back to Mechi Town, which is where we found that the lab the first time around. We first got the instant Lapras. So we're just going to make our way over there. And then we have a couple more puzzle settings to do here. So Mechi Town is over in the bottom right here, right just underneath Sun Touch. It's where we fought Nora the first time, which I didn't know where it was. So I tabbed out here looking at the wiki to see where we're supposed to go. It's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to go all the way over to Mechi Town, which is bottom right. I'll find that out here shortly. I'm just dinking around on the map. I don't know why the hell I went up to the Pokemon League. It's like, oh, it's right there. Cool. So we'll just go there. That's also where the daycare is, if you guys care. But we're going to go right back down here. The path to the lab is going to be up that little river here, so I just go ahead and pop another Max Repel here, just to avoid any wild encounters. mostly due to the fact, again, I don't really like doing wild encounters this late in the game because it takes up way too much time. And we're just going to head right on back up to this perfection lab here. This is the one that Ryuker was talking about, how he worked in this one before before he had the move. As you can see, everything is kind of uh, we have to use seed flare here to get rid of the poison in the water, so we can surf around and find out what's going on here. You're gonna see a lot of me just kind of going back and forth, wandering around, looking around for stuff. It's like, okay, cool. There's a pad here. I don't know what that is. I didn't find out what it was until afterwards. And then there's a little thing there. There's a door there. We have to find a password code for this. Warning: do not enter containment zone. That I don't know what that meant at the time, so we just go right back in through here. There's a bunch of laptops. Just seed flare to get the water open. I don't know what for, but you can read through all sorts of different random dialogue in here about projects and everything like that. Describes the first attempt at creating a Delta Pokemon. All these laptops basically detail is Ryukura and his previous, endeavors into trying to make the perfect Pokemon at this point, and it just kind of tells you, it's like, okay, cool. So he did a bunch of experimentations on like Delta Larvesta, or like just a regular Larvesta, WO1, first attempt at creating a perfect Pokemon. Experiment was unsuccessful. By accident, we seem to have discovered a new weather condition of sorts. Ninetales is drowned in different test conditions. They ended up creating a sky darkened instead of brightened, which is nice. Anyway, it was kind of like moon and everything like that. And then this is the security tape that we need for the puzzle. If you look, it'll show that he hits the second one first, the fourth one, and then the third one. I don't know why in my first attempt at doing this, it took the wrong code. So as you can see, I do this, click, nothing happened. And then I do this, click, click, and then this again, nothing happened. So we go back in, we reset, we watch the security footage again to make sure he did it right. I just keep using max repels in here because I don't know what else to do. Click, click, and click to second, fourth, and then third, and then that does the final thing. So it's like, okay, we found out that he did it the right way. It's just didn't register the way that we wanted it to. So we go back through here, do the same thing. Second, fourth, third. And then that gives you access to a Manaphy statue in here. And then Incident D001A and D001B. I don't really refer to them to triple zeros because saying 0 3 times just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. All that sort of stuff, talking about Delta Larvesta and its incidents that they ended up having to the point to where they just created a wormhole. And then it ended up warping one of the scientists to the middle of the Alolan Ocean, which is kind of odd. And then they end up finding a second one, or making a second one, another control variable here that lets you read and basically tells you about the Delta Larvesta causing issues in the lab, and forces them to evacuate to a different lab underneath the Jade Tower in the Black Market. Excuse me. And so, anyways, they ended up having to leave. They left behind the other Delta Larvesta, which is what we're going to be getting out in this little bit here. 05-1 Ryuker was able to catch the anomalous Pokemon and subdue it temporarily. So, he did leave the Control Larvesta, which is unlikely that it survived, since they couldn't come back and check and see what sort of toxin level it could get before internal damage. So now we're just going to move the Manaphy statue, because for some reason, I thought the heart statue was needed to open that door. So we're just going to move that on around to the pink plate here. There is a little bit more of a lab down there that I didn't see when I was tunnel vision to move in all this sort of stuff. Probably where you get the password from, but I just went ahead and got it from the wiki, mostly just because I had it up on my screen, and I said, you know what, we're just going to finish this on up and all that sort of stuff. Use one more max repel. Go up to the door here, and the passcode that it is going to need from you is anti-lithium, which, again, is found. You can find the stuff on the wiki if you want to. If you want to completely just bypass what I'm saying here, go for it. But the password, again, is anti-lithium. ANTILITHIUM. And then you can just open the door, go right back out the back here. There's a nice little back door. And then we go into the perfection containment zone, which again leads us to Delta Larvesta. It does start off at level 40, which is okay, I suppose, but we're just going to one-shot the Scun Tank and get it out of here. Anyhow, that is going to wrap up pretty much everything that we've done today. We did accomplish quite a lot. We finished up the rest of the Dark Story stuff that needed to get brought into line. There's a TM here, Sandstorm, whoop-de-doo. But then there's this here, which has the plates that you can go downstairs and get the password for, which I don't want to use another repel for. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, apologies for all the sniffling and all that sort of stuff. A lot of health issues, but we'll be back hopefully next week or before the end of December. So, I'll see y'all then. Have a good rest of your day, guys, and hope enjoy your holidays. Bye-bye!